Welcome back to Have More Babies.
Great to be here.
Today we're getting into something really important for, well, anyone with a newborn or expecting one.
Mm-hmm.
Understanding those common health things that can pop up. We've looked at some great info from the experts at Omega Pediatrics for this.
Right. The goal is really to help you know what's kind of typical and crucially when you really need to call the doctor.
Exactly. Having that knowledge gives you, a bit more peace of mind in those first few weeks.
Definitely.
So let's start with something almost everyone sees. Skin rashes.
Ah, yes. Super, super common. Newborn skin is just so sensitive.
You see them everywhere, right? Face, back.
Arms, neck, tummy, the diaper area, pretty much anywhere.
And they can look so different, can't they? The Omega Pediatrics info mentions things like little bumps or even blisters,
Yeah, or sometimes pus-filled spots, scaly patches.
dry bits, or sometimes kind of wet looking but not actually oozing.
Exactly. Flat, discolored areas, skin that feels rough like sandpaper.
Or ones that are oozing, maybe look a bit fleshy or shiny. Itchy, not itchy.
Warm to the touch sometimes, too.
Uh,
And yeah, you could even get a mix of these things all in one rash.
it does sound like a lot when you list it all out.
It can seem that way.
But it's worth saying again, most of these newborn rashes, they're really not serious.
That's the key takeaway from most cases. Absolutely.
But, and this is the important part, there are times when a rash is a warning sign. What should parents really look out for?
Okay, this is critical. According to Omega Pediatrics, if that rash comes with other symptoms like a fever,
Right.
or if the baby is vomiting, suddenly won't eat, is crying way more than usual, or crying in a way that sounds different, sort of inconsolable.
Or if the rash just appears really suddenly and spreads fast.
Yes, exactly. Any of those combinations, you need to get medical help right away. Don't wait.
Okay, good to know. Let's switch gears to something else every parent knows well. Crying.
Oh, the crying. Yes.
Newborns cry a lot, and sometimes it feels like you have no idea why.
It really can feel like that. They do cry often, and yes, sometimes seemingly for no reason. The first step is always the basics check.
Like, are they hungry? Burped?
Warm enough, too warm,
Mm.
clean diaper, just run through that mental list.
And say you've checked all that and they're still trying, what then?
Well, Omega Pediatrics suggests trying some soothing things, holding them close, skin to skin can be great.
Singing, talking gently.
Rocking. Swaddling works wonders for some babies too. Gives them that secure feeling.
And, over time, you do start to figure it out a bit more, don't you?
You do. You learn their cries. That hungry cry might sound different from the tired cry or the I'm uncomfortable cry. You start seeing their patterns.
But it's really crucial to remember if the crying seems excessive or just different, really prolonged.
Yes, if it feels wrong or it's way outside their normal pattern, it could be a sign of something else going on.
So always best to check in with the pediatrician then.
Always. Get their advice, get some help, never hesitate.
Okay. Next up, jaundice. Another really common one.
Very common. That's when the baby's skin gets that yellowish look.
And you often see it in the whites of their eyes too, right?
Mm-hmm. That's a key place to look. But it can also show up on their legs, tummy, arms. Usually starts a few days after birth.
And it's pretty widespread, like a lot of babies get it.
Yeah, the estimates are around half of all healthy newborns get some jaundice, usually pretty mild.
Okay.
If a baby was born early, premature, they might get it a bit sooner or it might stick around a bit longer.
So what actually causes that yellow color?
It's all about a substance called bilirubin. Basically, red blood cells break down naturally, and bilirubin is a byproduct.
Uh-huh.
In newborns, their liver is still, getting up to speed. It's not quite as efficient at clearing that bilirubin out of the blood yet.
And sometimes it gets reabsorbed too.
Yeah, increased reuptake from the intestines can also contribute.
Are there other things that can cause it or make it worse?
Sometimes, things like infections or if there are early issues with breastfeeding getting established, or even a mismatch between the mom's blood type and the baby's blood type.
The Omega Pediatrics info mentioned that feeding often, especially breastfeeding, can help.
Yes, definitely. Frequent breastfeeding, like 8 to 12 times a day, really helps get the baby's bowels moving,
Ah, right.
and that helps them poop out the excess bilirubin.
So key message. If you notice that yellowing at home,
Call the doctor, get it checked out. Most jaundice is easily treatable, but you don't want to ignore it because in really rare, severe cases, it can cause problems like brain damage. So always best to check.
Okay. Now, thinking about the opposite end of activity. Excessive sleep, newborns sleep loads, obviously.
They sure do.
But how much is too much?
That's a fair question. Normal newborn sleep involves waking up for feeds, eating well when they are awake.
Having some alert periods during the day, looking around, seeming content.
Exactly. If you're seeing all that, waking, eating, alert times, contentment, then their sleep is probably fine, even if it seems like a lot.
So when should you worry?
The concern comes if your baby isn't waking up for feeds regularly, or if they seem really hard to wake up.
Or just not interested in eating when you do wake them? Very tired, lethargic.
Yeah. Or if those alert periods just aren't happening, if they seem sleepy all the time.
So a big change in their pattern or just constant sleepiness.
Right. Definitely contact your doctor if you notice that kind of excessive sleepiness or a sudden shift. It could be a sign they're unwell,
Makes sense. Another thing parents worry about is breathing.
understandably.
Newborn breathing can seem a bit irregular sometimes, can't it?
It can, especially right at the start as they establish their rhythm. But most settle quickly.
What if they just seem a bit stuffy?
For a simple blocked nose, Omega Pediatrics suggests trying saline nasal drops first,
Okay.
and maybe using one of those little bulb syringes gently to clear things out.
But there are definitely more serious breathing signs to watch for.
Absolutely. These need immediate attention. So watch for really fast breathing, like consistently over 60 breaths a minute when they're calm.
Okay, 60 breaths.
Or if you see the muscles between their ribs sucking in hard with each breath. Sometimes you see the ribs sticking out more. That's called retractions.
Got it.
Also, any grunting sounds with breathing, or, and this is important, any persistent blue color anywhere on their body,
Right. If you see those, call the pediatrician immediately.
straight away. It really helps to just observe your baby when they're calm, get a feel for their normal breathing rate and pattern. Then you'll notice changes much faster.
Good advice. Okay, what about a swollen tummy, abdominal distension?
Right. A little bit of a rounded belly after a feed, especially a big one that's usually normal.
But when is it more than just full?
If the abdomen feels swollen and hard,
Or,
really firm to the touch,
okay,
or if the baby hasn't had a bowel movement for, say, more than a day or two,
combined with the swelling?
yes, or if they're also vomiting. Any of those together, swollen hard belly, no poop, vomiting, warrants a call to the pediatrician.
Because it could be more than just gas.
It often is just excess gas or maybe constipation, but you can't assume. It could potentially be a sign of a more serious intestinal issue, so it needs checking out.
Okay, blue baby syndrome. That term sounds pretty scary. What is it exactly?
It does sound alarming. It basically means the baby's skin turns bluish because there isn't enough oxygen in their blood.
But not all blue tinge is that serious, right? Like cold hands and feet.
Exactly. It's really common for newborns to have slightly blue hands and feet, especially if they're a bit cold. If they pink up when you warm them, that's usually fine, nothing to worry about.
And sometimes when they cry really hard.
Yeah, same thing. If their lips or face, even their tongue, look a bit bluish during a really intense crying spell, but it goes away quickly as soon as they calm down, that's generally okay too.
So when is the blue color a serious concern?
If the blue color stays, even when they're warm and calm, or if it's there alongside breathing problems or difficulty feeding, that persistent blue color, especially with breathing or feeding issues, could signal a problem with their lungs or heart. That needs immediate medical help.
Right, critical distinction there. Lastly, let's briefly touch on injuries that can sometimes happen during birth.
Yeah, it's not something anyone wants, but it's good to be aware. Most births are safe, of course.
But sometimes things happen, especially with long labors or big babies.
Correct. Things like a broken collarbone can happen.
How would you know?
The baby might not move that arm as much, and then later, maybe a week or so on, you might feel a little lump on the collarbone where it's healing.
Okay, what else?
Sometimes there can be muscle weakness, maybe affecting one side of the face or a shoulder or arm, might seem a bit weak or floppy.
Does that usually get better?
Often it does improve on its own over time, but sometimes it might need some follow-up or therapy.
So if something like that happens,
Definitely talk to your pediatrician. Omega Pediatrics emphasizes asking them for advice on how best to handle the baby, how to hold them, how to feed them, to help with healing and avoid discomfort.
this has been really useful covering these common newborn things.
Hope so.
It really shows that, yeah, lots of things are normal, but knowing the red flags is key for getting help when it's needed.
Absolutely. And the number one rule, always, is trust your gut. If you're worried about your newborn for any reason at all,
Just call the pediatrician.
always, don't hesitate. They're there to help. And it's always better to be safe.
Definitely. And for anyone listening who wants more detailed information, more expert guidance on newborn health, you should really check out omegapediatrics.com.
Great resource.
That's omegapediatrics.com. Lots of fantastic information there from professionals.
Really comprehensive.
And hey, if you found this chat helpful today, please do give this video a like.
Yeah, it helps others find it.
And subscribe to the channel. We've got more helpful stuff coming up. And please share this video. Think about other new parents or caregivers you know. It might just give them some needed reassurance.
Good idea.
Thank you so much for joining us today on Have More Babies. We're wishing you all the very best, a healthy, happy start with your little one. Goodbye for now.